So here we are in the 2025 GMC Acadia Denali. Denali is the designation in GMC for the super luxury expensive package. What's this thing run, $65,000?
It's $64,410, so we'll call it 65.
65
what
grand.
roller Acadia is $64,000
Well, it's the
now.
Denali pack. That's the
Denali.
key thing.
It says Denali more prominently than Acadia.
You'd think this was the GMC Denali, but you can get many, many of them. That's what this is. Now, this is a car that's been around since the mid-2000s. In fact, my wife and I owned a first-gen Acadia. That was an 09, if memory served. That had a naturally aspirated V6.
Yeah, I consider you sort of the Acadia whisperer. You were the first in the pool.
It had a slew of engine problems over time. That engine ended up being awful. The thing about the Acadia is, it is minivan-sized space in a non-minivan package, and that shapes everything about how this looks, drives, is. The biggest surprise for me, though, is the engine now.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
We are now in four-cylinder land for the Acadia. 2.5 liter turbo 4.
It has more power than the old V6 did.
Yes.
It's like 325 horsepower and torque.
It's 328 horsepower, 326 pound-feet of torque. So yeah, right in there. And you know what? I think it moves the car just fine. I don't think anybody's lacking.
I agree. Nope.
But I've never thought these four-cylinders sound very good. Not that it really needs to in an Acadia, but it doesn't really sound very good.
They've done a good job of canceling noise in general because noise is the key word. The engine is not an attractive sound. Four-cylinders generally aren't. And I actually think somehow American four-cylinders sound worse. I don't know why, but they just seemed, I mean, we're used to making good V8s. Four-cylinders is not our bag. It has plenty of power, more than the old Acadia we used to have. If it has better reliability, low bar, than that original V6, then we've got a victory here. I'm surprised that it's that small, but I'm impressed by the power output and the way that it is put out with the 8-speed transmission is actually very good. I'm kind of reaching the end of my positives. I'm getting to the end of my positives.
You're Acadia OG. You started in on the Acadia when they first came out, and you bought it because of family.
Yep.
Newborn.
Yep.
Need the space, didn't want a minivan. That was the whole point.
And got a good deal on it at the time.
Yeah.
We got one for less than 40 grand. I think it was like 35 grand at the time. We got an all-wheel drive. The Denali's at that point were 50 something. Here we are at 65 for the Denali. This is competing with things like the Kia Telluride, which is probably still the leader in the space. The Honda Pilot. I mean, this is the 7-seat minivan alt world is where we are. And the thing that I am struck by when I drive this is it drives exactly like a minivan. It feels, it may be all-wheel drive on the lid, but it feels completely front-wheel drive at all times. It has a wallowy body control. It just feels loose and kind of, I'm not really paying attention.
That's the performance suspension. Wait.
That's not how that works. Anyway, there is no worthwhile driving dynamics here at all. It feels loose on its suspension, so this is not gaining you anything over a minivan in driving dynamics. In fact, I would even argue that some minivans drive better than this. So I really think that the benefit here is you don't get a minivan shape. But I start to wonder, couldn't you get a minivan with more space, cheaper than this, and would drive better? And at that point, I'm not sure why this needs to exist.
That bad?
And I think in this space, here's the thing, this is a sea of fine. It's really not bad. But when I think about the fact that you have things like the Telluride, which I think is dynamically better than this. I like that engine better. Okay? So that's a direct competitor. This has got great space. It's got a nice interior. I have no problems with being in here. But the Telluride and its sister car, the Palisade, drive better than this. I think the Telluride looks better. The Palisade I'm not really sold on. So they drive better. I like the engine better. And they do the space thing better. But the real question for me, because you and I have joked about it on the podcast, you cannot out-minivan a minivan. If you need minivan space...
It's true. This still isn't going to cut it.
You just go and get a minivan. And this is, I am clinging desperately to not wanting a minivan. because I didn't get any worthwhile driving dynamics beyond the minivan.
Yes, but there's a market for that.
There is a market for that, absolutely.
I desperately don't want a minivan.
Totally.
People might even say that when they walk into a dealership.
Yes, and I do understand. And minivans, you know, they have a place, and this does all the minivan things. I just want it from a driving perspective to give me a reason to be here other than a minivan, and it doesn't. So then if it's not going to be more interesting to drive than a minivan, now I do miss the minivan doors. Now I'm like, well, why can't you just give me a big box that opens like a can? I mean, let's just embrace it.
Wow.
Okay? So it's not truck enough to separate itself from minivans, and then I actually miss the minivan utility of it all. That's where I'm at. I mean, look, and I need to come back to the fact that it is genuinely fine. There's nothing, I don't think, that is like a huge death blow against this, but I'm struggling with the merit of it. I'd rather spend $65 to get a body-on-frame something and get a truck, or spend less and get a loaded minivan.
Wow.
That's where I'm at.
Wow. See, I'm enjoying myself, but maybe because I'm a passenger.
Oh, it's a perfectly good place to be.
It seems like a great place over here. The suspension seems comfortable.
Yes.
I am not judging the car on its handling technique through canyons like this, through twisty highways like this. So, I mean, I could see spending a lot of time on a road trip over here.
Absolutely.
It seems really comfortable to me. But I have driven it a lot, and it's not exciting to drive.
It's not even engaging to drive.
I know that's not the point.
Uh-huh.
But for any car manufacturer, truck, SUV, minivan, any category, why can't it be? Why shouldn't it be? Have a little bit of fun. Because there is nothing fun about driving this. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why they put SuperCruise on it.
Maybe. That might be. And look, I actually want to say something that I haven't actually mentioned in a while, and I discovered it in this vehicle. Maybe it's the way my brain works or not, but I want to give GM some major props in one area, though.
Okay.
This has controls that make sense no matter what you're doing, and they're easy to find. We get in so many things where I'm just going, where is the thing with the, why can't I find this? I would take one glance in the place I think it would be, and there it was. It would be a button, or it would be a clearly labeled thing on the touch screen. Anything I needed this to do was straightforward and in a place that made sense. And I rarely feel that in all the vehicles we drive. I'm always searching for something. I'm always lost trying to find whatever it is.
What deep menu is this?
Is it in the screen? Did you put it in a weird button somewhere? Look, even this shifter.
I feel like it's sort of like a page out of Mercedes book.
It is a little bit, but it has a little bit of GM flavor. But thank God we lost the bowling ball shifter in here. That's not in here. We've got it. We've got a stick
well,
again.
That's
it works.
Saved
It makes
for the
sense.
Tahoe and the.
I guess places
Suburban.
where it's worse. I was driving along and I was like, where? I literally did this. I was like, where's the auto stop? There it is. Where's the drive? There it is. Everything is easy to find, easy to interact with. I think it's a victory in that regard. A lot of people do, it looks nice and luxurious with the cool screens, but then I'm going, yeah, but where is that simple thing I need? It's so straightforward here. This is so easy to jump in, at least in my experience. Jump in, engage with, drive, find what I need. I can find it on the fly. I don't have to look while I'm driving. That stuff is a huge victory for me.
Really?
It annoyed you, didn't it?
A lot.
we split completely on this. I don't know why.
It's the mode button.
Oh, the mode button, yeah.
For the longest time, I didn't know this had modes. I was like, well, it doesn't really need modes, but wait, it has paddles. So it must have some kind of mode. Oh, and it tows 5,000 pounds, so it's got to have some sort of tow mode or snow mode or something. Where's the mode button? So I went looking. Couldn't find it.
It's over here.
Why is it over there? I think the designers came up with a great shape, and they limited themselves on the number of buttons. And all that real estate was sold to the HVAC group.
Yeah, it was.
Before
all
the
HVAC group.
mode transmission button people had their say. Because if you're putting that stock there, that indicates transmission. Okay, why isn't the mode somewhere near how you shift the car? Just like on most automatics, the shifter is down here with a mode button next to it. This is separated to me, and that's why I couldn't find it.
But
I was looking here, I was looking down here.
I understand.
Like, oh, this is all HVAC real estate, and it's good, and it's clear, so maybe it doesn't have modes. I looked on the steering wheel. I looked underneath the car.
Here's the thinking. It's U.S. truck thinking, where you put your four-wheel drive interaction thing over here. It's
that must
thinking.
be it.
That's why it
That
ended up
must
over
be
here.
it.
And that must be the reason I found it.
Although sometimes that 4x4 thing is here
I know.
or...
Once you move it off the console, it's literally like a free-for-all. It's anybody's game. We had bowling balls. We've got shift. We don't know where the heck anything goes. There's a lot of tech in here.
Yeah.
A lot of good tech that looks classy and works well. I can take nothing away from it in that regard. Good back seat space.
Yeah.
Decent third row.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is doing minivan stuff. I'm struggling with, does it outdo the minivan, though? Which might actually do it for cheaper. I mean, we complain about how expensive minivans are, but for $65,000,
They're still cheaper than this.
You can get yourself the nicest minivan on the planet.
And save money. I like that we're kind of split on this, but I like it for what it is and for the market segment that it is, but I don't love driving it, and it's not for me.
I mean, this is a good family car. Look, I mean, it's got a volume knob that's clearly labeled.
Yeah.
The volume knob does all kinds of crazy. Did you notice that when you turn it up, not only does it show it there, but it gives you like a RPM thing around the
yes,
side?
it does. That's
the
cool.
The interaction's
That's cool.
excellent. Look, the programming is good. The UI is very good. I have so few issues in the experience of being here. Tons of issues with, is it worth it to drive?
What do I have to do to get you into this car today, sir? Like, what kind of payment are you used to?
You know.
What do I have to do to sell you this?
I'd get the non-Denali version, and I really wouldn't get a white interior.
You'd get a Traverse is what
White
you do.
interior?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that's not happening.
Why is this
That's all
happening?
bad, yeah.
All right, time to drive.
Okay.
Let's talk about styling real quick. I
Okay.
think of all three versions, the Enclave, the Traverse, and the Acadia, this is the most good-looking styling for this.
I agree.
It is the most truck-like, and you'll notice how much of a family look it has to all the GMC products.
Yeah.
It looks truck-like, which saves it from being a minivan.
That's absolutely the reason you buy it, for sure.
The details are actually quite nice. You walk around the truck and there's a lot of surface breakup. The D-pillar is quite busy. There's a lot of textures and surfaces, but you know what? It works. The taillights really look good. They look strong. Everything is a strong look. Proportions.
Yeah.
It's not squared off. I mean, it's kind of squared off, but it's not, it doesn't look like the phase that we went through with all those SUVs that were car-like, and we're trying to sell. No, it's an SUV, but it drives just like a car.
This is much more rugged looking than it has any right to be.
It looks good.
It really does look rugged and truck-like in spite of the way it drives. And I do think that is a victory. I totally agree with you there.
Interior is actually quite good looking. Well, this piece up over the top of the instrument panel doesn't necessarily need to exist, but you know what? They do well with it because it's got the center speaker. It encloses the HUD. The problem is the defrost in the morning is only out of the very center two vents because the HUD blocks having vents all the way across.
Sure,
So you
yeah.
get a clear windshield right in the middle.
Dead center. You can just lean over. You're going to be fine.
I've been doing a lot
I'll
of
lean
that.
toward the middle. You lean toward the, our heads will meet in the middle. It's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
But you know what? This gives it a nice floating look, and it's a theme. The screen floats. Look, this floats.
That's a good point.
Everything kind of
That's a very good point.
floats.
Yeah, that's great.
And so it has this light kind of look, but it feels really fresh to me.
Hmm.
It really looks interesting. The two-tone interior is nice. I'm all about two-tone, except
I agree
for
with that.
cream-colored leather that's going to instantly get terribly dirty.
Children will be in this. Dogs will be in this.
Yes. But look at the textures on the door. Look at the nice
No, honestly,
stitching in the seats. It
the
looks great.
decision. This is where we get into the Denali world. But the decisions made here are spectacular. The color is my problem. But I actually think I agree with the
two-tone
two-tone.
is
I agree with the
great.
breakup. I
Yeah.
agree with all the stuff that makes it feel luxurious in here. You start to see where the money goes. Obviously, you can pick a different interior color. This is just the way this was spec'd. White. The number of white interiors we get as journalists is obscene.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
One note about the interior space. You notice the third row folds, and it's actually quite spacious. When the third row, I rode in your first Acadia.
Yeah.
This is hugely spacious. It's more impressive than the exterior of the truck would suggest.
Absolutely.
Third row always
Absolutely.
means like,
Yep.
oh, kids, and you put your duffel back there.
It's the
on
torture
thing,
chamber,
right?
yeah.
Not so here, except when you are using the power buttons, when you're standing at the hatch and you're using the power buttons to fold that third row. If the two middle seats aren't properly moved forward enough, it hits.
Of course it does.
It doesn't fold all the way
Yeah.
and you forgot, and then you have to walk around the side. So the packaging isn't quite perfected there, but you just have to adjust those middle seats. Now, once the third row's down, then you can slide those second rows back.
And get a lot of legroom.
You've got a lot of legroom, but you still have to kind of adjust. There's still a lot of adjusting to get it right.
Well, and this market segment isn't either or. They have third rows, and it's, do you want cargo or do you want people? You can't really have both. You got to separate things like the Suburban and the Expedition to get both. That's not really what's possible here. But usable third rows is a victory in this segment for sure.
There's also nice cargo space underneath the floor back there. There's just a tray to fill with ice and shrimp and have a party or something.
That's exactly what the marketing department is planning to do later.
What I was thinking. You're right. The controls are intuitive. It took me a minute because Mercedes, you just pulled down to put it in drive. This one you have to pull forward towards you and then put it into gear. Same thing, reverse, neutral. All right, you get used to that pretty quickly.
And it's got good icons on it, so you instantly figure out what you're doing. So it works out.
All right, all the power.
That is an impressive little four-cylinder, honestly.
Genuinely. Yeah, it is. That's moving.
5,000-pound vehicle.
That's good.
Kudos to GM on a genuinely powerful four-cylinder.
It
doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good at high RPM, but
No.
you know what? I think most people will appreciate the power over the sound when they're buying this, because if you want a V8, spend even more money. Get a Tahoe.
You're gonna get up into the next class for sure. Yeah.
All right, it's time to SuperCruise ourselves.
Okay, please. Yeah, I hadn't done it, so I'm curious to.
Single button on the steering wheel, and the green light, the magic green bar, lights up on the steering wheel. It has created the thickest steering wheel I think I've ever seen on any GM product.
Yeah, true.
But it actually looks cool. That's the shapes, everything about the shapes, everywhere in the car, very relatable. Now, you'll also notice that on the top of the binnacle is the thing that points at your eyes, the camera looking at your eyes to make sure you're paying attention.
The driver monitoring system, yes. Let's just call it what it is. They're spying on you. They really are, yeah.
They are, but this thing, I'm very mixed on SuperCruise because I've tried to use it on all the roads around us, and it doesn't always work because it doesn't know the road.
It's geofenced in a big way.
Correct.
Big things like, we're on Interstate 80 right now. Big things like interstates, that's where it's set up for.
It is.
Lots of other systems are going to try to work it out no matter what. This is very much controlled to certain environments.
We have curves coming up.
Yeah.
It's slowing.
What's it going to do?
Is it going to work? It's hesitant. Ooh.
But it's the interstate, so all right.
Oh, it slowed the car. We were at 66 miles an hour. It slowed the car to 61 to take the turn. It did it, but the steering is sort of hesitant. It's sort of, it jerks to try to find that
You can watch the gearing
center.
work, like wait, yeah.
Well, it's not smooth.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but the Model 3 that we recently drove with full self-driving was far better than this. This system gets angry really quick.
Yeah, yeah.
So therefore, if you're using SuperCruise, you have a little bit of time to relax, but it's always watching you, and it's going to get angry as soon as it detects anything slightly untoward. So the development of this system is not nearly as good as most I've driven, even on Genesis.
Yeah.
All right, so the car's slowing. But what SuperCruise has done to attach all the servos and motors to make it do this has created dead steering feel when you're driving normally.
Oh, for sure.
It's terrible.
For sure. There's nothing.
So you can't talk about SuperCruise without talking about how poor your truck handles.
Well,
I guess if you want
there's no
SuperCruise.
feeling. Yeah, fair point. I mean, you can get SuperCruise on the big body-on-frame trucks from GM as well. You know
what?
what?
It was 57 miles an hour. It was really tiptoeing.
GM has always done this. When you have cruise control set and you want to resume, it puts it down, man. It's like, we got to get back there.
Yeah,
it's
true.
always done that. But you know what? Look, this is working in its optimal environment right now, except for the fact that I-80 has curves. But it is really set up for your cross-country road trip. That is what SuperCruise is for. It's not for taking random errands in your town.
No.
That's what Tesla and others are aiming for. This is very much about road tripping, and I can see.
For that,
yeah, okay, you're going to do long straight highways through Nebraska. We've done it. It's going to be fine.
It'll be fine,
it's gonna be fine
there. What I am noticing about the steering wheel right now is when SuperCruise is activated, GM, don't you think that the heated steering wheel should shut off?
Well,
I'm not touching it right now, so I don't need the heated steering wheel.
I am surprised at how many cars we're in now where you don't have to touch the wheel at all. I find that disconcerting, personally. Here's the thing. It's also the target. Everybody's making these systems is trying to get to the place where you don't have to touch the wheel at all. And I think that adds to the confusion of, oh, the car's got me.
I don't feel like the car has me on this one. SuperCruise,
I know.
I am skittish. The thing about this system is you can tell it's just code. It's keeping the vehicle perfectly centered in the lane through the curve. It's not using the entire lane to
It doesn't have a human feel to it at all. It's very much a code stack. But it works, and if you want that feature, that's great. But here's the thing we've led ourselves back to. How irrelevant this is to drive. Because we've spent the last 5 minutes talking about the fact you don't even need to drive it. This is my struggle with this vehicle, is that there's nothing here that is worth driving, and then you have a real debate of how much do I dislike minivans.
Enough to buy this.
Enough to spend 10 grand more, lose the big slidey doors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a perception. Look-wise, I would much rather be seen in this than a minivan.
Yeah.
I would. Look-wise, absolutely, and it's certainly comfortable. But you know, there is a thing in you and I both where we really want to feel like, I'm glad I'm here driving, and that's not happening here. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Going through the curve.
Yeah, we practically need a book in here. Yeah, I need to bring my novel.
But then the car is judging you you're judging it.
For sure.
Sitting here to make sure, is it doing the right thing? So I'm paying more attention to the SuperCruise than I would if I'm actually driving myself.
Yeah, well, you're being monitored, and you're monitoring.
I'm totally.
We're just turned into hall monitors. We're just all hall monitors now when we drive cars. We're not actually driving them anymore. We're just sitting here. You know what's happened? I hate to say this. All of this attempt at smart cruise control has turned us all into middle management. We're not doing the work, and we don't run the company. We're neither of the above. We're just monitoring the middle.
That's a great point.
Here we are. SuperCruise is middle management. Actually, they're all middle management. I think that's the problem. If you're looking for something with SuperCruise or any other kind of smart cruise control or something for your family, minivan or not, Autotempest.com is the place you have to go. Go to Autotempest.com/everyday so they know we sent you. It searches all of the car websites, all of the searches in one set of search parameters. As fast as any of those solo sites, you get them all. It's the place we go every time we look.
It's changing lanes on its own.
I'm not sure why it's changing lanes on its own. You didn't tell it to do anything.
I didn't ask it to do anything.
Anyway, Autotempest.com, all the cars, one search.
Huh. It just decided to change lanes. And now it's looking for an opening, and we're going to go back and change lanes again.
Okay. I don't think it really should pass the oversized load on its own. I think that is a poor choice.
I think we'll hang out over here behind the...
I have to be careful here because I don't want to say this is bad as a place to be. It's a great place to be. I'm just struggling with the price and the benefits of it over buying an equivalent minivan. If you're spending $65, spend $75 and you get all of the truck you ever wanted.
See, this is the thinking. This is proper thinking. Spend more to get what you actually want.
Yeah, I mean,
I like this.
The last Suburban we drove was every possible thing you could get, and it was 90 grand, which is too much, but you could get them for 60.
Okay.
This is 65.
Shop used on Autotempest.com. There you go.
Sure, you could do that, or you could get one that isn't the full Denali trim from Chevrolet and wind up with a full truck with full towing and even more space than this.
There you go.
It's a middle child. It's a middle child with a cruise control that's middle management. I mean, we're just in the middle. We're just stuck in the middle is where we are.
If you want an Acadia Denali and you don't want to pay that much, get a Traverse.
True.
It's the same.
It's
all the same. Different styling.
This is the way that GM does it, though. The base GMs are like a upper level Chevy equivalent.
But everybody wants the luxury. You want the brand. You don't want
the Denali.
You want the special.
I guess. Do we have to start calling this the McKinley trim now? Didn't Denali get renamed?
Gosh. I don't know where we're at with that.
I think it happened.
This is actually the McKinley version.
The McKinley trim.
GM, you didn't think of that.
Yeah, okay. We're going to ship it to you across the Gulf of America and give you the McKinley trim. We're renaming the map, people. It's what's happened.